Hello students, in this chapter, in this part we will discuss on adrenal gland. Adrenal gland. The adrenal gland has dual origin. It means these glands originate from the two layers of the germ cell, mesoderm and ectoderm. To dual origin, it means it origin two layers of germ cell, ectoderm and mesoderm. Adrenal gland present on each kidney in a cap-like structure. Each kidney contains one adrenal gland. It means a pair of adrenal glands present. One kidney contains one adrenal gland in the cap-like structures at the anterior kidney, at the anterior side of kidney. This is also called glands of emergency or emergency gland. This is because, or it is because, it function in emergency condition. Emergency condition. The adrenal gland contain two types of tissue, or we can say that it consists two parts tissues, or you can say that it contains two parts. First one is external adrenal cortex, and second one is internal adrenal medulla. We know that kidney present in the pelvic region, just a bean-shaped structure, and at the tip of the adrenal gland present in a cap-like structure towards the anterior part, towards the anterior side. This is the kidney and this one is adrenal gland. Each kidney contains one adrenal gland that contains two types of tissue, and that contains, or we can say that, two parts. Outermost, which is known as external adrenal cortex, and internal is called internal adrenal medulla. We will discuss on first one, external adrenal cortex. This is the outer zone or outer region of adrenal gland This part originates in mesoderm. As we have already discussed, this is the composite gland which originate from the two layers, mesoderm and ectoderm. Mesoderm originate the external adrenal cortex. This zone or this region contains 3 zones. एड्रेनल कॉर्टेक्स के अंदर 3 जोन्स होते हैं. 3 जोन किस प्रकार से? दिस इज द एड्रेनल ग्लैंड. Adrenal gland. It consists 3 zones. First one is the first one. The second one and next one is third zone. These 3 zones is the outer zone. Outer zone is known as zona glomerulosa. Zona glomerulosa. This is the outer zone. And middle zone is the middle zone. Is known as zona fasciculata. This one is second zone called zona fasciculata. And the inner zone of the cortex is known as zona reticulari. Zona reticularis. These 3 zones make the external adrenal cortex. External adrenal cortex. And the inner zone is called, this is the inner zone. This inner zone is called internal adrenal medulla. Clear? We will discuss later about the internal medulla. Firstly, we discussed there are 3 zones present in the external adrenal cortex: zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata, and zona reticularis. These 3 zones, which is the part of adrenal cortex, secretes 20 types of steroid hormones. The cortex region secretes 20 types of steroid hormone. Steroid hormones. Collectively, these 20 types of hormones, steroid hormones, are known as corticoids. Collectively, these 20 types of cortex hormones, or you can say that steroid hormones, cortex hormones or steroid hormones, are called corticoids. These corticoids are then categorized into 3 different types. These corticoids then categorized into 3 different types, such like as mineralocorticoids, glucocorticoid, And third one is sexocorticoids as well as gonadocorticoids. Gonadocorticoids. These are also known as sexocorticoids. Here, adrenal gland, it is also known as glands of emergency because this gland help in secretion the emergency hormones in emergency conditions, and it is also known as dual origin. It means it originates with two layers, ectoderm and mesoderm. Mesoderm originates the external adrenal cortex. This external layer of, you can say that adrenal cortex is the outer layer, which contains three zones. Outermost is zona glomerulosa, middle is zona fasciculata, and internal is known as zona reticuli. Glomerulosa is the outer zone of the cortex, fasciculata is the middle zone, and reticular is the inner zone. Cortex secretes 20 types of steroid hormones. These steroid hormones are collectively known as corticoids. And these 20 types of corticoids are categorized into three types of corticoids. First one is mineralocorticoids, glucocorticoids, and gonadocorticoids. Mineralocorticoids. Mineralocorticoids. The outer zone of cortex is zona glomerulosa of cortex. Zona glomerulosa secrete these hormones. Outer zone of cortex, that is known as zona glomerulosa, secretes mineralocorticoids. It contains minerals and also called aldosterone. Collectively, the mineralocorticoids hormones are also known as aldosterones. What is the role of aldosterones? We know that if there is any decreasing of the sodium ions and exceed of the potassium ions, at that time aldosterones comes and stimulates the renal tubules, through the reabsorption can take place in the kidney. If the concentration of sodium ions decreases and increases of potassium ions, at that time aldosterone stimulate the renal tubules it means PCT and DCT to reabsorb the sodium ions and excrete the potassium ions. As the filtrate passes through the renal tubules, through this filtrate, sodium ion is absorbed by the renal tubules, PCT and DCT part. This was stimulated by the aldosterone, and potassium ions are excreted, so that the maintenance of or the balance of ions can maintain. Therefore, These hormones stand for aldosterone, help in balancing the sodium or potassium ions concentration. This is the role of mineralocorticoids. The second hormone which are secreted by the zona fasciculata, the middle zone of the red cortex, secretes the hormone glucocorticoids. Second hormone is, this is the first one, second one is glucocorticoid. The middle zone of cortex, that is called zona fasciculata. Secretes three steroid hormone, such as cortisol, cortisone, and corticosterone. Corticosterone. But cortisol is the main hormones. Cortisol is the main hormone. Under the influence of these hormones, they maintain the fat and protein concentration in the metabolic process. These hormones maintain the protein and fat concentration in metabolism process, as well as they help in digestion of carbohydrates. Digestion of carbohydrates. This is the second type of corticoids, and third type of corticoid is sexocorticoids, or as well as they are known as gonadocorticoids. Gonadocorticoids, also known as sexocorticoids. The inner zone of cortex, cortex का जो inner zone है, that is called zona reticularis. This part secretes the another type of hormones. There are two main hormones, androgen and estrogen. Zona reticularis secretes two hormones such as androgen in male, or you can say that androgen and estrogen in less quantity. Due to the secretion of these hormones, that may produce the secondary sexual characters such as axial, facial and pubic hairs. Due to secretion of these hormones, there are some secondary sexual characters such as facial, axial and pubic hair development. Or you can say growth can take place. These are three types of different corticoids, which are 20 types. Mineralocorticoids, outer layer secretion; glucocorticoids, the middle layer; and the innermost layer, that is known as zona reticularis, secretes the gonadocorticoids or sexocorticoids. This is the outer zone, and the innermost zone, this one is innermost zone of the kidney, or you can say, not kidney, adrenal gland. This inner zone is known as internal adrenal medulla. This is the internal adrenal medulla. Next one is internal adrenal medulla. This is the inner zone of or inner part of adrenal gland. It origin neuroectoderm. As we have discussed, adrenal gland is composite gland because it originates at the two layers, meso and ecto. Mesoderm originate the cortex region and ectoderm origin the medulla region. The medulla region secretes two types of hormones: epinephrine and norepinephrine. They are also known as, epinephrine is known as adrenaline, and norepinephrine is known as noradrenaline. Noradrenaline. These hormones act in emergency condition, or we can say that these are the emergency hormones. These both hormones are called emergency hormones. Due to secretion of these hormones, the increasing of heartbeat, as well as sweating process, sweating and piloerection. What is piloerection? It means raising of hairs. Raising of hairs. These hormones act in emergency condition. There are three effectors. Act in emergency condition which represent 3F factors, and these are the 3F factors are fight, fright and flight. Both the hormones are also known as catecholamine. Both the hormones, which one? Epinephrine and norepinephrine. Both the hormones are collectively called catecholamine. This catecholamine help in breaking the glycogen into the glucose. This catecholamine breaks the glycogen into glucose in blood. This is the function of adrenal gland, and there are two zones. Outer zone is known as external adrenal cortex, which contain 3 zones. Outer is known as zona glomerulosa, middle is zona fasciculata, and innermost is known as zona reticularis. These all 3 zones secrete 20 types of steroid hormones. Those are categorized into 3 different types: mineralocorticoids, glucocorticoids and gonadocorticoids. The inner zone is known as internal adrenal medulla. This secretes 2 hormones called epinephrine and norepinephrine. Collectively, these epinephrine and norepinephrine are known as catecholamine. What is the role of catecholamine? It digests or breaks the glycogen and change into glucose in blood. Second one is, these hormones are also known as emergency hormones because they help in the emergency conditions. Due to the secretion of these hormones, our heartbeat increases, sweating process and piloerection can take place. What is piloerection? Raising of hair. If there is any flight or flight process conditions, there are some hairs arises from the bodies, and this condition is known as piloerection. Clear?